All right, I think I'm out of coffee. Be right back. All right, I'm right back. That was almost tragic, starting a webinar without coffee. I mean, that's a violation of that's a top 3 rule violation right there, everybody. Let's get some show of hands here. Make sure I set this one up properly. Good morning. David, thank you. Same to you. I hope you're doing well. Something's popping up here on my screen. I got things popping up on me. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I think I need a better camera, but that's okay. We're in a good spot. A is long already, man. Long. A is long. The micro ES 45.24 1/4 off. Wow, right here, right now. All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. Is it 10? Is it? Yeah, it's we're just in time. Remember, just in time manufacturing. That's like an '80s thing. It was a new thing in Japan. It's called just in time manufacturing. Doesn't really work in today's supply chain, but I'm just saying. All right, so let's go ahead and officially get started here. For those of you who are new, my name is Jim Cagnina. I'm the Senior Education and Training Specialist with the NinjaTrader platform. We're primarily focused on futures trading today. And oftentimes in futures trading, you have a high combination of leverage and volatility, and although that can be equation for opportunity, also equation for risk, so be careful. Only fund your futures trading account with risk capital. My personal definition: money I could afford to lose, doesn't change my lifestyle, lengthen my retirement horizon, or overly stress me out. Everybody's unique and different in this world. We understand that. Just be easy with the day trade margins and the amount of money you capitalize in your account. Be patient, and that's my best advice. Any questions on risk, type them in right now. Be happy to talk to you about that. I am logged into the AT Pro trading platform in real-time simulated mode, real-time sim data coming in right now. And this is the web-based product. So let's jump right into it. Good morning, Carlos. Thanks for being here. Let's get that chart on the screen right now. I mean, we've had the rally's back in the stock index futures, like it or not. I mean, we're seriously back in bull mode, I think. NASDAQ had a little bit of a rocky road yesterday, but I think it's trying to rally back today. And here's the Emini S&P today. Just have a 10-minute candle with all the usual suspects. Yesterday's close was that purple line right there. We're just south of that purple line. I think that's kind of important to have on the chart, so I threw it up there today. Terrence, I don't know how to show the chat with the StreamYard. To be honest with you, I'm a little bit. So Terrence asked, "Hey, we love your room, but could we see the chat a little bit?" It's kind of embedded in the actual software, so I'm not really sure how to. Let me work on that. Maybe next time, let me do a couple practice sessions without messing everything up. Lori's new here. I like to use range bars. Why does the time have to be set for? Oh my goodness! Whoa, range bars. So I don't know what software you're using. What software are you using, Lori? Anyway, while she's answering that, let's go ahead and focus in on some trade ideas here. The point of control is this is a nice profile. It's a nice profile. A couple of things to point out. The point of control here is at 45.21. Really good point of interest, I think, in my opinion. The bottom of the value area around 17, another good point of interest, and then at the top of the value area, I have labels up here, so 25.75, and that places below value, there's a lot of them, right? And just like almost exactly like yesterday's profile, we had a whole bunch of volume early pre-market, in the evening pre-market. In a tight range down around 45.16, which was the old point of control. And now it's market opens up, and then we had I think a relatively good report this morning, and then we had this kind of upward price action. So from a Fibonacci point of view, I'm going to use this pre-market low. I'm not going to use last night's low and try to see what we're looking at with the fib line right now. I'm just going to go to my drawing tools, and I'm going to select fib retracement. I'm going to come back to this low right here, pre-market low. I'm going to move it up here, and I'm gonna anchor it up there. So there's my fib line right now. The top is right at the top of this particular candle, and this is East Coast time, everybody. 9:50 candle, 9:50 to 10 o'clock candle is right there. And now we're still kind of driving up. So we'll see if an area of resistance materializes or not. In the meantime, I am bullish in this market, and I want to look for places to buy. And point of control is right at the 38.2%. I like that, so we're going to go ahead and put an order in there. And again, in real-time sim mode, right there at the point of control. That's kind of number one. So it's kind of relatively conservative. If you wanted to be more aggressive, you could certainly do that, but I'm good for now. Where's my 23% on here? Let's just kind of click on that. Oops. Let's highlight it. Oops, my bad. I'm making a new one instead of highlighting it. What I want to do is there we go. Let's go to edit settings. Take a look at my settings really fast. I want to add that 20. I'm a super fan of 23.6 now. I didn't used to be. But I'm throwing it in right now. I think it's, we have a relatively low range here. That's why it's kind of a tight 23.6% retracement right now. So that's the aggressive area. That's the aggressive area to go ahead and get long right now. I'm in the kind of conservative area. I think somebody's already suggested they're already long around this area right now. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying it's more aggressive, right? A is long at 45.24 1/4, which is pretty close to that. It's a couple ticks away from the 23.6. So a micro strategy would be a little different in my mind. We would try to get a unit in 23. We try to get a unit at 38. We try to get a unit at 50. But since we're looking at the big Emini S&P right now, I'm going to be in patient mode and just kind of see what happens here with this candle as we go forward. Oops, new comments. Here we go. Terrence says I'm golden now. Good morning, Sam. How are you, man? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Wrestling season is going to kick in earnest soon. I'm excited about that. I got to come up with some local heroes here. I heard Howe High School is pretty good to watch up in North Carolina. I don't know if I'm saying it wrong. Ho or Howe or Hough, something like that. I'm doing my research. So, Lori, I'm not a range bar person, to be honest with you. But what I'm going to do is I will go ahead and try to become a little bit more proficient at it. So the next time we can kind of look at the range bars a little bit more. But it's not. I'm a 10-minute candle. I'm simple. I'm really easy peasy on the way I look at things. And I just have an oscillator at the bottom. CCI we're plus 158 right now, pretty strong. But the velocity of the angle of the CCI isn't anything too exciting to watch. The moving average cross 6 and 26 is doing what it should do when you look at the price action on the candles, and that is it's diverging, right? The fast moving average is increasing faster than the slower moving average, which makes sense given the pattern on the charts. So again, bullish, bullish, bullish. We have a series of higher lows on the candle, a series of higher highs on the candles. Again, that's kind of positive. That's positive direction. No area of what I'm going to call resistance has emerged as of now. Let's just take a look at my cheat sheet from this morning. Here it is. Jobless claims. And I think jobless claims, we're moving in the right direction, right? Consensus was 300K. We're at 290K. That's a good thing. I think that's why we saw this trade lift that we saw pre-market. And initial claims, minus 6K was the change. So 4-week moving average is moving down. I mean, this is a positive thing, right? Things are slowly starting to creep back in. I know there's a lot of dislocation between job openings and job workers. I think that's getting worked out. I think there's a lot of issues with Supply chain, I think that's going to get worked out. A lot of the supply chain folks now are going 24 hours around the clock, which is good. Philly Fed, kind of a minor indicator, not the not it's not doesn't really move the needle. And it was pretty much close to consensus there, right within that consensus range. I don't know what existing home sales did. I didn't read that report simply because I literally uh, logged in. I was logging in. We were doing sound checks. We're making new highs on the ES, by the way. And we'll pivot over to the NASDAQ in a second. So just let me cut and paste this in. Griffin couldn't get YouTube open. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right. Well, anybody here from YouTube? Or do we have a YouTube catastrophe? We might have a YouTube catastrophe on our hands. I'm not sure. Well, there's nothing we can do about it now. We're moving forward, and hopefully that issue gets resolved as we go. Apologize for that. Oh, Jeff says YouTube's working for him. Sweet. Oh, Griffin's here in YouTube. My bad. I'm reading my question and answer box. Funky. Yeah, Sam's always in Facebook. Making new highs here. My Fibonacci line is no longer valid. Again, we're not no area of resistance whatsoever. Resistance is futile right now. Let's take a look at the micro NASI while we have it up. I wonder if I could do these side by side. Let's see how painful that would be to do this side by side. I'm just going to keep this one over here. And then we'll use this micro as the primary one here. Let's open it up and do some screen manipulation, a little bit of screen manipulation. This fib line, I'm going to move up here on the ES. Oops. That one. Okay, so same story on the Nasdaq. Wow. So Nasdaq it was a wild ride yesterday, right? So these two stock index futures kind of moved in uncorrelated fashion, which sometimes happens. And we had a lot of earnings and stuff like that come out. We still have earnings. This is very much earnings season. So we still have a lot of earnings coming out today. So that really affected Tesla was a good example of a very large component. They almost have $1 trillion market cap, right? I think it's over $800 billion market cap in Tesla, and so that's going to move that's going to sway that index more than some of the other ones in the Nasdaq 100. And as a result, we did have that price dislocation, but it looks like we're rallying back here. We're fighting back here. Yesterday's close was this purple line. I have this purple line here representing yesterday's close, and we're moving around it. We're moving above it right now. So we'll see what happens here. Now we do have a second candle that is starting to create, and I'll do a little rectangle up here, an area of resistance. I think I want another candle for its confirmation before we start going short in this market. Rectangle. But we are looking at, don't forget, we're looking at a micro. So it gives me the ability to scale in and scale out a little more. Let me show you what I mean here. I'm going to go ahead and do the fib again, fib retracement. I'm going to go low to high. And again, there is no 23. Why is that? Edit settings. Settings. Let's add that back in. 23.6. Hit the go button. All right. So from a micro point of view, again, I'm bullish today. I'm looking for places to scale in, and so it's easier to do with the micros. And one couple of trade ideas. Here's the, let's get back down to that 23.6 and try to get a unit. Let's get down to that 38 and try to get a unit. And if you even want to be even more aggressive, you could do the same thing at the 50% level right now. And I'm totally using fibs right now only because the volume profile is a little bit we're generating more volume at the top. This point of control here at the bottom will probably be superseded pretty soon. This is point of controls at 15,350. I think we're going to kind of supersede that. CCI is starting to arc down a little bit, but moving average cross isn't budging. So let's just be patient and kind of hang tight. Yeah, if you wanted to be aggressive, you could do a breakout trade here. My rectangle is being breached right now, but really that's okay. I want to see a close in the rectangle before I have to move it. right? A close in the rectangle before I have to move it. So Jim, thanks for that question. So, um, you know, how do you use volume profile? Is basically your question, and I use it to generate areas of interest, right? So an area of interest for me is the top of the value area, as an example, 376 here. Another area of interest is the point of control, 349, and then the bottom of the value area is another area of interest. So these are points that I'm going to use when I'm, to enter positions, to establish profit targets, and all that kind of stuff. And so hopefully we'll be able to demonstrate that today. But as we continue to make new highs, I mean, this is just a super, super, super strong market. So we're going to have to be a little bit more patient and see what happens here. And on the ES side, things have shifted a little bit. Again, if we wanted to be more aggressive, we would consider getting a unit around the 23.6, and this volume profile on the left here. And that, then what I'm using this point of control as my second unit, and then my stop would probably be at the bottom of the value area here. That's how I would use this. So let's go ahead and do that on the ES real fast. And then we'll kind of manipulate the other chart. So at the risk of obscuring everything, let's go ahead and do that here. Let's do a unit at 23.6. This is the big one though, so keep that in mind. And then I'm going to use this transition area here at the bottom of the value area for my stop loss, right? For my initial stop loss, and then you can manage it. You could be dynamic with it and move things around, depending on what happens with your position. But here I'm kind of doubling up, right? I'm scaling into two different units. We'll see if we get them or not. So these are limit orders. Let's go ahead and add our sell stop, and it'll be a 2 contract sell stop, right? Because if the market comes down here, we'll have acquired 2 contracts, right? So I'm going to put that in right away, and we might adjust it a little bit. But so that's the trade right now for the ES. We'll see what happens here. We'll be a little patient, and the NASI is just still really, really strong right now. You could do a breakout trade right now. I'm not a fan. Oops, God dang it. What's with my tools today? My tools today have a mind of their own. In this rectangle, I got to just delete it. It's, strong. There's no place to look to sell this market right now, in my opinion. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher highs all the way up. CCI over 200. Moving average cross is still diverging. And here I could kind of show that a little bit better. I mean, look at that. That's pretty serious. So this is a pretty strong move up right now. And again, until we see 3 or 4 bars here that are showing us an area of resistance, I can't identify one right now, right? I cannot identify one right now. So as we move this particular fib up to match the price action, then you got to ask yourself, how does the fib numbers change? 23.6 just moved up. I'm kind of not close enough there. And so is this a valid entry anymore, waiting for a retracement to kind of, and then resume its pattern back up? If you wanted to actually say, hey, this market's going to keep going, you could buy on a stop, and that would look like this, right? You'd put the trade above the market, and then you could buy that way, right? Stops aren't always protective. They could be used to enter the market as well. And let's just do it, see what happens. And then we'll kind of adjust our other trades. I'm just going to move that fib line out of the way because it's messy right now. So, and you can see here, open orders. All my open orders on the right-hand side panel, it just shows us all the different orders we have open right now. Let me kind of move this over here. Even the ES is just not cooperating with the retracement. So we're just going to push this over to the side, hang tight, and close this. Close that up, and we'll just be patient here. See what happens. Wow, amazing. Oh, sorry, I've neglected the question and answer box. Sorry about that. Griffin says resistance at 32, then 50, and I think you're talking about the ES, right? 32 and then 50. Well, remember that. Okay, so we talked about this yesterday. The 4540 or 4550 all-time high number. Can we get to it by Friday? Someone made the bold, declaration on Tuesday. We're easily going to get to the 4550 level in the ES, all-time high level at the ES by Friday. Well, we only have 2 days left, so we'll see if that materializes or not. But Griffin's resistance is at 50 and at 32. Just kind of move my 32. All right, so we're still way not there yet. We're still way not there yet. Okay, so on the, for some reason, I must have had a position carried over from before. I'm sorry, but we did go ahead and pick up that one contract in the MNQ, right? One contract in the MNQ on the breakout, and so things are moving upward here. I apologize for that extra order that I threw in there before, but now we got to decide. Okay, where are we going to get in? Where are we going to get out? And this fib line again is all messed up, so just kind of ignore that for now, because again, we're making new highs as we speak. If I want to see more information, you can click on the book, and then here's the order for 412, and so now we're kind of underwater there, and you can see that little really cool like marker there, right? And this is the trouble with literally trying to buy a contract on a breakout, right? In that you could actually end up buying the high or selling the low. So those are things you got to be really careful about. Griffith says MA is looking great on the 3 and the 9 minute, not really great on the 1. I'd be happy with 30 this morning. Doug says I always use the 10 minute like Jim and then 1 minute for trade. Griffin says if I had to trade the ES right now, I'd be long at 25 or better. Griffith with a stop at 22. Doug says hope you get it. And we're going back and forth. That sounds fun. Hope everybody gets it. Great question. If you upgrade to Windows 11, are you going to have trouble with the web-based software? And my really optimistic answer is going to be no. The tech guys, are pretty good, and they've anticipated this. So, and it is web-based as opposed to, different versions where you download it. So there's a little bit of an advantage there. So my guess is, I haven't heard of any issues. I do have an inside peek here. So I don't believe that's going to be a thing. Carlos is back to new highs this week. All right. We'll see if you're right or not. All right, let's go over to so Nazi right now. So our breakout trade, it is what it is. How close is my actual fib line? And notice what I'm not doing is I'm not changing my other units here, and I'm going to think about these other units right now in terms of how everything is shifted upward and continue to shift upward. And again, this I want to chase that. Oops, I'm sorry. I want to chase that 23.6 a little bit, and I want to chase that 38. And let's kind of hang tight, see what happens here. We're literally right about break even on our P&L on the first micro trade. Let's shoot over here to see how things are looking on the ES. We're finally, we have 3 candles. Hallelujah. We have 3 candles of, suggesting a new area of resistance right here. Let's just kind of make that rectangle happen for everybody, for the kids at home. We haven't, 1, 2, 3 times we haven't closed in that candle. So now, the counter trend traders are starting to go, very interesting. And, you could use that top of the value area as an example of a counter trend trade, or you could just wait to see if you can get penetration in that rectangle again. Wait to see if you get penetration in that rectangle again. So we'll see. I still want to be a little bit more patient. Maybe we'll have a 4th candle here. What time is it? 924. So yeah, the next the 1030 candle should be meaningful. And remember, the 1030 candle, um, the 1030 candle is usually more meaningful than the 1020 candle or the 1010 candle. Just that there's more. There's a 30-minute candle that closed. There's a 15-minute candle that closed. There's a 10-minute candle that closed. There's a 5-minute candle that closed, and there's a 1-minute candle that closed, all at 1030. So algos, traders, system folks, regular technical analysis traders will have more information to make decisions, especially if you're looking at multi-time frames to make your decisions. Doug, I did move to North Carolina. I'm sitting in Charlotte right now. Thanks for asking. Refresh my memory, Doug. Where are you from? Roy says ES has an inside candle with barely 300,000 volume, including Globex trade. Yeah, so volume, it's a low volume day here. I'll just show you my quote board real fast. You can see it, the ES right now is for sure 300,000. I mean, it's less than the NASDAQ, right? Less than the micro NASDAQ. So it is a very low volume day for sure. There's not a lot of stuff going on Capitol Hill. There's not a lot of stuff going on at the Fed. It's just all about earnings, and there's this anticipation that happens when you have these earnings situations. And so far so good across the board. I heard, I read like 81% of the earnings announcements beat expectations so far. That was like in the Wall Street Journal today, and that's pretty impressive actually. So Data Stats did that computation for us. So you're right, low volume inside day, and that's really good for volume profile trading usually. But here we have a case where we're just we're running amok here. We're just now we're positive on our trade idea, right? Remember we're long here at that dotted line, and we still haven't put an order into a profit target in yet, or we haven't picked up a second or third unit yet. So what I'm going to put a profit target in here, but it's going to be hard to figure out where to put that profit target. And you could do an expansion, but a Fibonacci expansion to kind of help you. But in this particular case, because of the flat line conditions here, it's something that I don't know. We could take a peek at yesterday's. This green line up here is yesterday's high, and we can say, all right, we're gonna hit yesterday's high. It corresponds to the minus 38.2 fib line. So there's a good target for you. Let's just throw that target in for now. We could always adjust it a little bit. Just get a little bit south of it. And so there's my target for the long position I have right now. And I just use yesterday's high as an area of interest, that green line right there. And just short of that minus 38.2%. I'm a big fib fan these days. I don't know why. Doug's originally from Quincy, Northwest Phoenix Valley right now. Sounds nice. So, I hate to say this, Doug, but Northwest Phoenix Valley sounds nicer than Quincy. I've been to Quincy. I mean, it's a great Midwest town, but from the scenery point of view, I'm a fan of Phoenix over that. Roy says IB in 4 minutes. Griffin says I got old high school friend moving to South Phoenix as we speak. There you go. Yeah, hopefully I didn't sound too negative, Doug. I mean, there's beauty in every single place you go to, and I don't want to sound like I'm a snob or anything like that, but you know what I'm saying. New highs in the ES. We're just going to have to wait it out. I didn't do a breakout trade on the ES. It's a bigger contract. It's going to be less volatile than the NASDAQ. I know it's a low volume day, and I think this volume profile here will eventually start turning normal. Right now, it's not very normal. It's kind of blocky, right? You have all the volume, pretty much centered in an even distribution. If you just drag your just visually, you could just drag your crosshairs down, or you could put the numbers in the actual volume bars to kind of, and then the point of control isn't much bigger than anything else. So that's kind of an odd phenomenon. But since we're slowly trickling up, this is a slow crawl up. And then we have, again, yesterday's the target up here. Yesterday's, that green line is yesterday's high. And let's kind of keep a look at the NASDAQ. Well, I'm more excited about the NASDAQ trade right now. Griffin said he strapped a snow shovel on my roof and drove south until someone asked me what it was. And then I bought a house. Oh, my goodness. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, my understanding here in Charlotte, it snows like once or twice, a quarter inch. Everything shuts down. It's a major catastrophe. The snow is melted completely by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's that. My brother's lived here for 14 years, and that's how he's kind of explained it. So, so that's good news. That's super, super good news. For me, anyway, coming from Chicago and, lake effect snow and non-lake effect snow, and oh boy. Oh boy. All right, so now we're starting to get a little bit of downward pressure on that micro NASDAQ. We're still not, I want to see a close on a candle before I declare that we have found resistance. I really like that target from yesterday's high for sure. So Sam, explain to me, what's a Southern Snow Party? Where you get the day off and you could just, because everybody freaks out. You can go have cocktails. I mean, what does it mean? If you don't know how to drive in Chicago snow, forget about it. All right, so let me move this up here a little bit higher now. We got a new higher now. Everything is higher now. Again, we're just not getting a lot of downward pressure here. Carlos says my brother's 100% right. Sam, my son, was in Atlanta this weekend. Said it was awesome. Had a lot of fun. Went to Georgia Tech, visited his friend. And they went to the aquarium, by the way, which by all reports, it's one of the best aquariums there is. That was a little odd for the college kids to do that, but they enjoyed themselves. Everything shuts down. So here, Sam, everything shuts down and drinking begins. Bread, TP wine, and liquor are gone from the stores. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. So yeah, everything's strong. So we're not even. This is going to be a really low volume day. My guess is we won't break 1 million today in the ES. We're barely over 300,000 so far, and we'll just put this one in a slow trend day up. Sometimes these slow trend days, and I've seen this before. I've seen this before several times in my career. It just keeps trickling up, right? There's no huge velocity, but it just keeps trickling. It's almost like there's no sellers at all. And at the end of the day, you end up with a big move upward. I'm not saying for sure today's going to do that, but today might do that. I mean, look at these candles. Just kind of take a peek. Starting with this particular candle here. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher. Every single candle is a higher low. Every single candle is a higher high. You can't get stronger than that. The CCI is really is really showing momentum, right? We've seen CCIs over 200 before, even over 300, and it's even curving down here on the CCI. But the velocity of this, the angles of the CCI isn't fast, right? This isn't the slope is relatively, maybe 45 degrees, and it's not really a quick turnaround. So that's, even though it's just 177, it's still pretty strong, right? And the idea that this is overbought right now, I'm going to throw that. I'm going to file that away to check on you later. Check on you later. Carlos, I went to a Braves game once at the old Turner Field. I'm assuming they have a new baseball field there right now, and it was a night game. I don't know how many years ago, maybe 15 years ago, a long time ago, and it was spectacular. The people were awesome. The game was awesome. It was a night game. Weather was great. I haven't been back. One of these days, I'm gonna come back and visit Sam, and we'll go check it out. Check out a game. So I'm sure the 1 minute chart's going to be even crazier than that, Carlos. I hear you. We'll just keep a peek here. Again, we're making new highs. The Fibonacci's meaningless. Let's take a look at what's happening here. I got to adjust this up. Again, same story pretty much. Same story. Higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher highs, higher highs. A little more jaggedy. The top of the value area here is. Why do I keep having this? Turn that off. My rectangle here is just it's useless. Again, trickling up again. So the breakout trade so far was the best idea we had going. I just got to keep adjusting that fib line. Sorry, I'm toggling back and forth. So, is it likely that we're going to get way back down here? Possibly still. I mean, we're only looking at 38.2% retracement for sure. Yesterday we're way above yesterday's close. When I say way above, I mean graphically speaking, we're way above, but it's not really way above. I mean, it's 25 versus it's only 5. We're plus 5, up 5, right? That's not a huge a huge advance for mankind, so to so to speak. So this is how it's 32.25, and that's my green line up there. It should be relatively accurate. Yeah, my green line here is 32.25. That's right, Griffin. Stop to 29. Now A's reversing. This is A's second trade. First trade successful. Now you're reversing. Griffin's out. We just hit 29. The first meaningful red bar here. Let's kind of go back and check this out here. Hell, maybe we're starting to form an area of. We'll see. Let's give it some more time. It's only 10:36. This contemporary candle was I hate to use the word nothing burger, but it was. It didn't do anything. It didn't generate any positive momentum either way. The current 10:30 candle, a little bit red, but still, it's only this body of this wick is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 point. It's not even a body yet. So let's kind of be a little bit more patient here. I'm going to move this to another screen because it's bothering me. We'll just open this up, and we should see things a little bit more clearly. Remember that dotted line here, that's where we're long from. And there's a couple of strategies here. This is a micro, so this if you're thinking in terms of this being a classic type of a contract instead of the micro, you might want to put a stop loss, at break even plus a tick, and see if you can get a runner up to the highs or to your target. Again, not a lot of velocity today, so I'm not too terribly freaked out about it. So, but we're going to leave it from a micro point of view. And then if we do start, if this fib line finally does hold, then we'll adjust some of our other trade entries, see if we could pick up a couple more units. OCO is on the dome. I'm going to refer you to the website. There's some bunch of videos there on how to do that. The Infinity Futures website has those on there, as does the YouTube channel. So I'm gonna refer you to there, and we're going to be patient. Friday. What's going on Friday? Anybody know? Friday, I think Powell's speaking, right? Chairman Jerome Powell is speaking. I'm just going to pull over my Econo Day cheat sheet here. So tomorrow might be another one of these days, right? Tomorrow might be another one of these really, really slow days. Jerome Powell speaks at 11. Sometimes that moves things around. I'm kind of jaded about it. I think his mission is simple. His mission is to keep asset prices, even though they claim they have a different mandate, right? Full employment, and then keep inflation under check. That's their official mandate. But my guess is they have an ulterior motive, and that's to keep this equity market floating, keep it moving, forward. Going to go take a peek at the cash market really fast in the 10-year Treasury note yield department. Let's pull that up. I just go to the Wall Street Journal. I'm a member of this thing. 6.669. We're creeping up. Yields creeping up in the 10-year notes, which is going to make things really tricky for the Fed. I mean, remember, the Fed has two main tools in their toolbox, right? They have the Fed funds rate, right? So they go and say, hey, we're going to create, a target Fed funds rate. And you can kind of see the probabilities of future Fed funds rates. If you go to the CME group market watch Fed fund tool, and I'll pull that up, Fed watch tool. So this is how they kind of, I don't want to do that. This is kind of how they, the Fed funds rate is, how they target short-term interest rates, right? And the CME group has this really nice, and I'll cut and paste this. This is a great web page, and they use the Fed funds futures, going forward to try to calculate the probability of changes, right? So the next meeting date here is November 3rd. And then the probability of a rate cut, as far as the CME, the Fed funds futures is concerned, is 0, right? The target's going to remain 0 to 25%. Then you could click on the December meeting, December 2021, and it's going to be still 0 is the prediction, right? The probability for this thing to change. January of next year. We get a little movement January next year. We have a 92.6% chance that it does not change, and then a 7.4% chance that it goes up 25 basis points. So the target is 25 to 50, and the Fed can manipulate that through its, the New York Fed's trading desk by introducing or withdrawing liquidity. And that's kind of number one, right? You can go all the way out. You can, and it gets less and less accurate as you move out. But, May 12th, it's suggesting, 85% nothing happens, 14% we have a 25 basis point hike, and that, or, the Fed funds rate will be 50 basis points more, or 50 to 75. So it's a kind of a cool thing. It is dynamic. It changes for sure. But it's pretty interesting and oftentimes accurate. So that was kind of a fun. Did I cut and paste that into here? Yeah. So that's kind of a fun kind of thing to look at. The second tool they have is really the ability to purchase assets, right? And so that's how they kind of manipulate the longer end of the yield curve, is through their balance sheet, which is approaching 9 trillion, right? And they literally would will buy securities with those kinds of durations, longer term durations, 2-year, 5-year, 10-year. And in essence, they're creating money out of thin air, right? And then when those assets mature, they get some maturity, then it's money's vanishing in thin air, right? And then the balance sheet could go down. And the idea is we're going to slow down our purchases over the next few months. We're going to start tapering, right? And tapering doesn't mean necessarily making the balance sheet smaller. It means we're going to buy these securities at a slower pace. And I think the projection is we're going to peak out at 9 trillion, and we're somewhere over 8 trillion right now. You can Google that Fed balance sheet. You get all sorts of information, conspiracy theories, and all that stuff. So Griffin, that's a great. Yeah, that's an awesome comment. So Griffin says, I want some of those, and so older folks will know. Not to suggest you're older, Griffin, but I'm going to suggest I'm older. So I'm going to say I know. I know this from experience. The comment was I want some of those 10% CDs my old dad got in the late 70s. Right. And even then it was like 10%. That wasn't really sexy back then. And I remember I owned some 7% CDs for a while. And it was it was a 1 year CD, right? And now I'm thinking, man, I should have bought one of those 5 years. I could have helped, because that was the peak for me in the, I don't know, this was in 2000 still when I did it. So I hear you, man. I miss those days as well. Oh my God, Jim, there we go. Jim's starting it off. Powell needs to control market conditions, thereby helping the other Fed members buy at attractive prices. Oh boy, it is scandalous, isn't it? I mean, talk about perceived conflict of interest, right? There's a perceived conflict of interest there, and yeah, I know. Sometimes the insiders are the insiders, right? Oh man, well, we're still squeaking up here. We're getting closer to our target. We're about 10 handles away, and so we'll just kind of keep it rolling. We'll keep it. There's nothing to see here. There's nothing to do here from a trade management point of view, other than the idea of just placing a stop at break even and letting it roll. But since this is a micro, well, let's do that anyway. But if this were a classic sized NQ, then maybe we want to have more of a risk on kind of hands on approach because of that bigger size contract, right? It's a $20 point instead of a $2 point. Right. And we really didn't scale in. We didn't have an opportunity to scale in into the micro because it was a breakout trade. And that's just the way it is, right? We just have one unit, unfortunately. I wish we would have had 3 units. Jim says we all need to watch our $600 bank accounts. Yeah, it's crazy. I hear you. Griffin says in 1777. In 1979, I borrowed 83,000 at 16.75%, and it was a joy. Yeah, those were crazy days, man. The end of the whole Carter presidency, and took a few years to get. Everyone was buying houses at crazy high interest rates back then. I mean, it was nuts. Now the opposite's happening. Now the interest rates are crazy low, but the home prices are crazy high. So you can't win, right? There's an inverse relationship between home prices and interest rates. So low interest rates, higher prices. So no matter what, you're going to have to pay that mortgage. Can't get around it. Anyway, 1047. Let's see what the next candle brings. I could tweak this up a little bit here to kind of capture the high of that candle. And we just kind of hang out here. Let me just see how close I got to tweaking it right. Perfect, almost. Like that. All right. So we'll see. We're getting close. We're not there yet. We still have, I don't know, 12 handles here. And one of the things that I've noticed, I'll throw this out, is the tendency to get impatient and want to change a profit target, lower a profit target. And I'm not suggesting anything's wrong with that, but the same trader then would take a stop order and then give themselves more breath. In other words, instead of tightening your stop, you're giving yourself more risk by moving it down. But you have the opposite psychological effect on a profit target, right? You get impatient and you want to go ahead and cover that. And I'm just saying that when you treat the profit targets and the stop losses differently, it's usually a psychological reason, not necessarily, what are the candles telling us? And we have another higher high and another higher low, and there's no reason in my mind to suggest we're not going to get to our target at this point. So we're going to leave it there. Griffin says the house I gave 66K for in 12 was appraised at 325 last month. Wow. Yeah, I'm calling that a win too. So what's the was that a 12-year spread, Griffin? How long between the 66K and 326K? The only price is my problem is my wife doesn't want to sell. Well, I hear you. I hear you loud and clear, my friend. Mrs. Keggs is in the kitchen right now, so I can't talk too loud. No, she's pretty cool. Yeah, so I mean, whatever the time frame is, I mean, if it was 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, for that appreciation to happen, you're paying property taxes, right? That's, what's the future value of all those property taxes that you paid? That's going to kind of close the gap a little bit. How many times did you have to redo the roof and the plumbing and the air conditioner? All of these things kind of close that P&L gap that you see. And I saw that when I sold my last house. I'm like, yeah, all right, awesome, man. I lived in that house for 10 years. I moved to Charlotte and made some money on the sale of the house. But then when I look back at all the property taxes I paid being in Cook County and being in the Chicagoland area, I was like, well, I didn't really make any money at all. It was, you know, it was horrible. Anyway, get over it. Renting isn't a bad thing. For sure, it is not a bad thing. Bought in 2012. Florida was almost free back then. Yeah. Yeah. Now it's a serious destination. So we're going to go ahead. It's 10:50 right now. We got another candle. Stick around for a couple minutes here. I'll give you some last second observations. At this point, even though it's a micro, I would definitely consider just, it because of the time, canceling these orders. I'm not sorry, cancel these orders. I'm just using the labels on the chart to do that instead of the trading ladder. And then I would, in fact, at that point say, all right, I want to put a sell stop and a break even plus a tick and throw it in there like that. And so now, at this point, 10 o'clock, paradigm of the market's going to change a little bit. It's going into lunchtime. It's already a low, slow volume day. I think this is a reasonable thing to do at this point in the day. And we'll call it a day on that trade. On the ES, oh boy, same thing. We breached yesterday's high right there, and then that's it. Very interesting actually, because now it's like, all right, so now we have another area of interest to suggest maybe there's going to eventually be some area of resistance up here. Just north of yesterday's high, the top of this candle. We finally have a red candle. We don't have a low yet. We don't have a lower low yet. But from the rest of the trade idea, where we have this yesterday's close, we have the 38.2 here. We have a lot of volume still in the middle, a lot of price happiness in the middle. I'm not opposed to actually keeping this kind of trade idea going. Let's just move this up though to be a little bit more accurate, and then see what happens with our trade order entries. And I would definitely pull this up maybe to 38.2. The second unit, depending on how aggressive you want to be or how non-aggressive you want to be, I mean, the point of control is right there. I'd probably keep it there. And then I really want to find an area, a better area of support for my stop loss here. So, let me just draw the rectangle on the bottom side here, and it'll help me think about that. So, we really haven't, since the dominant candle, since this dominant candle here at 8:30 East Coast time, 7:30 Chicago time. This is when the claims number came out. We were unable to close into that rectangle. We did kind of we did peek into it a little bit here in this particular candle here at 9 o'clock, but again, we didn't close here. So from a stop point of view, I want to kind of be a little bit into the bottom part of that rectangle right there. So that would be my other, I would say, yeah, I would be comfortable leaving this trade idea up for a little bit longer and see if we could actually get filled on one or both of these. Super aggressive is 23.6. I don't know if I wanted to be super aggressive in kind of a slow day, because you could be, when you have a slow trickle up, you could have a slow trickle down, and then you're going to be biting your fingernails for, God knows how long, if you're long here at 28.75. Again, that's just my take on it. I could be wrong, as I oftentimes am. but I'm going to leave that alone. And then again, I think we've kind of framed the conversation here on this NASDAQ trade. All right. Any questions that I missed or anything on your mind, type them in. Remember, trading futures, options on futures involves substantial risk of loss, not suitable for all traders and investors. Oftentimes in futures trading, you have a high combination of leverage and volatility, and although it's an equation for opportunity, also equation for risk. Slow your roll on the day trade margins. Use them gingerly. And any questions on that, let me know. Doug, she is liking North Carolina, and we have a little bit of an advantage here, Doug, because my brother and his family live here too. So they're right off. They're really 15-minute car ride, and we get to see them at least once a week. And then to put the coup de grace on this whole thing, my parents are moving down December 1st. So the Cagninas fled Cook County, Illinois, as a lot of families are doing after 58 years, and coming down here. So we're really excited about it. David, thank you. I really appreciate that. There's a Futures Trading 101 event on the Ninja Trader website we're doing in about an hour and 5 minutes. So if you're brand new to futures or you just want to hang out, come to the Futures Trading 101 go to the Ninja Trader website platform training page, and you'll be able to see how to access that particular event. And we're just going to kind of go through everything and have some fun again in about an hour and 5 minutes. Doug, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Let me answer that question. That's a good question. So ACH construction. How did you move the volume profile to the left? Well, so I'm just going to go to studies and I'm going to select it. I'm going to select volume profile, and then you get a little menu here when you go to studies and you select it, and then you could actually left adjust is what I did. I just clicked that and it just puts it at that side. And the side you could do the extension lines, but I felt with yesterday's open, high, low, close information, lines going across the screen, that's too much, and so I had show value labels instead, and those are those white value labels that show me, point of control is the red, and then the other two are white. You could change the start time on this thing and the colors and the bar height and all that stuff. So that's kind of how my setting is. I'll keep it up there for a second. All right, we're good to go. All right, everybody. If I don't see you this afternoon, maybe I will see you next week. Have a great weekend. Thank you for coming. And really, really, I want to leave you with this. Be safe out there and be good to each other. Take care. Thanks, Terrence.